This is That Talking Podcast. I'm JJ Starr.
And I'm the Downtown Andy.
The one and only.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to talk and bring some civil discourse to an otherwise discordant world. I emphasize civil because...
Might as well emphasize discordant, too, because it's pretty discordant right now.
How you doing?
Well,
how you doing?
At the time of recording, we are still recovering from the effects of last week's episode, which is those damn sandwiches. No.
Yeah, God, those sandwiches.
Yeah, that episode's.
I need a calendar.
At the time this episode airs, it'll be a week from when the sandwich episode. Yeah, so
okay. Ooh, God, yeah.
We're jumping the gun. We're proactive people.
But yeah.
I'm good at math. I'm sorry.
You're better than I am, that's for sure. I got like 4 degrees in English. Math completely eludes me.
My mother was a math whiz.
I want to talk about the rules. I want people to really pay attention right now.
How are you? How are you doing right now? We've had quite a day, so.
I'm full of sandwich. And my ass is asleep and my joints hurt.
Like, this episode really should be following the previous one, but let's be honest, Giovanni was way more entertaining than anything we're about to say.
I want to talk about the rules.
Talk about them, baby.
All right. First of all, before we even get to the rules, there was a reason why we came up with the rules in the first place. The reason we came up with the rules in the first place was because we are determined to keep our conversations civil. We say for the sake of civility because we mean it. The reason why we say no judgment is because we are not here to judge or criticize each other or other people for having differing opinions from ours. We say nothing personal because we're not here to take pot shots at each other or other people for having different opinions. And we say don't be a dick because, for the love of God, don't be a dick. It's just that easy.
It sure is.
Kindness is fucking free.
It's weird. You don't realize how difficult it is for some people until you meet them or talk to them. Because,
it's true.
You know, it's one thing to think about it and believe it and engage in it yourself. Yeah. But then you see how some other people in the world are and how they think and how they act. It's just like, oh my God, like not everybody is the same.
So to recap, no judgment, nothing personal, and don't be a dick.
See, when we started this podcast, I thought that was only for us. It's like in the midst of a discussion, remember, you know, we don't take cheap shots at each other. We don't criticize. We don't judge each other. And I honestly, I'd like to believe that in the duration of our marriage, we've never.
I think there have been occasions where we've been dicks. I don't think we can deny that, honestly.
Yeah, but we
come back from it.
Always.
Yeah.
Because we're two very reasonable, level-headed people with, you know, we because at the core is love and respect. Amen.
And that's all that fucking matters. On that note, how am I feeling?
You've had quite a day.
I've had a day. I am...
You almost got, hit with a little planter.
I am... That was funny. That was really funny. Those
bear canvases got a bad omen now.
Man, seriously.
Do we want to tell them what that means?
So we went to you can find my artwork hanging. Oh, you can find my artwork hanging.
Who are you, Kramer? Thank you for calling Movie Phone.
Thank you for calling Movie Phone. No, you can see some of my shit hanging up in Coat of Arms Tattoo Gallery in Bethel, Connecticut.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, and today we went on a little field trip, and on our way back, we stopped off to sort of change out some paintings for some new ones, keeping it fresh, new installation. Buy my shit, and in so doing. And in
because he was really like he was really excited about the monster picture because he saw them in the whatever we posted from the convention. He's like, bring those in here.
And in getting the paintings that have been hanging for the last few months and getting them off the wall, one fell and took out a potted plant
and some ink bottles.
And it was just
and one of the girls just kind of sat there and watched it.
And happen. we all just kind of watched it happen.
I mean, I didn't realize what was going on until
cracked me up.
Yeah,
it absolutely cracked me up. But aside from the attempted the suicide,
it was a run by fruiting.
That suicide pact between that plant and my painting. It's been I'm gonna call it a trying evening.
Because that with your physical shit like that,
being in the car for long periods of time is like it takes its toll on me. And especially when it's cold out and the heat is going and everything, like my joints, and it happens more in your car than anything else I'm noticing. Like my knuckles swell up, and maybe it's the position that I'm in when I'm sitting in your car or something. I don't know, but like get home. Go through it and everything. The last thing that I was looking forward to having to deal with today was, what was sort of an attack on us and on what we're doing here. You and I started this podcast because we have an affinity for having deep, thoughtful, and respectful conversations with one another, and particularly about things that we disagree on.
Don't forget, honest and genuine.
Yes. And we started this because we thought it would be fun to branch out, to reach people who maybe are experiencing some of the same things, maybe would like to be a part of the conversation, maybe start the conversation with somebody else or continue it from where we leave off.
In my experience over, I'd say the last 10 years of my life, I've noticed that there's really a lot. I mean, it took me a while to really kind of grasp this, but I've noticed a lot of people have a very difficult time being open in conversations with anybody. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is because they're paranoid about confrontation. They think that conversations won't end well or that they're going to go, awry very quickly or they're going to get heated or whatever. And a lot of people refrain from saying what's on their mind or advocating for themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's really sad because it's like in a lot of these instances, conversations that I've been a part of, it's not a major thing that's on the table. It's like, without naming names, in certain band situations, it's just like so-and-so can't hear himself. Well, turn yourself up or ask the other guys to turn down. If we're at a show, same thing. If you can't hear yourself in the monitors, why didn't you say something? Like, that's my own personal experience being able to give an example.
I mean, I think we've all experienced that. I mean, you and I can say that we sort of go through that. We've gone through that together. It's the same sort of thing to a different degree of, well, I really didn't want to, be out late. It's like, well, if you wanted to go, why didn't you say something? Right.
It's like, it's not the end of the world.
If you want something, if you need something, why didn't you say something?
We tell the boy that every week.
All the time.
You want something else for dinner? Like, tell us what.
You have to say
I'm
something.
I'm like, Henry, I take you to the grocery store every single week. Yeah. If you want like the kid, God bless him, he never asks me for anything at all. He never. And, I've had to really dig it into him and be like, listen, if you want me, you have no problem telling me you want juice boxes and goldfish. Like, you want prime rib? Tell me you want prime rib.
Yo, if that kid starts asking for prime rib.
You want swordfish? Tell me you want sword. I tried to offer him a spiral ham. He wasn't having it. He especially didn't want to wear it on his head.
But, I understand people not wanting to offend others. Now, that to me is telling of someone who believes that their perspective is offensive, that's problematic to me because it's a hindrance on honesty. It's a hindrance on honesty, period. Like, you know, heaven forbid you risk the possibility, not the definitive occurrence, but the possibility of rocking a boat every once in a while. And I'm not talking about being blatantly offensive. I'm saying presuming that something will be offensive to somebody. And so hindering your own your openness and honesty when it comes to having just a simple conversation.
I'm not going to say who I heard this from because I don't want the context of, or the contents rather, of what this is to be dismissed because of who said it. But ever since I heard this, it made a lot of sense to me. Long time ago, I heard someone say, if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
It's not, there's no lie detected.
If you tell the truth, if you always tell the truth, you don't have to have a good, which means you don't have to charge yourself with trying to remember a lie and not being tripped up or caught in that lie.
This evening, you and I have had a very, I would say, an unfortunately and a little uncomfortable conversation with someone who I would love to still consider a friend. But
I don't.
It felt very like the screws were being put to me.
And that's not fair to you because
it's not.
Because our personal issues have nothing to do with you.
But I was thrust into the middle of it. Mm-hmm. And normally I'm confident in my abilities to remain unbiased. And to this very minute of my life, I can honestly say that I am very comfortable in my ability to remain unbiased in basically all situations. I have been able, with a lot of practice over the last 15 years of my life, have become very, very good at remaining unbiased, which does not mean I don't have an opinion on things. It just means I am able to see all sides of situations and I'm able to respect all perspectives on situations. Now, you and I have, you are not a fan of playing devil's advocate. You're not a fan of the fact that I do it. I know that.
No.
But you know that's my MO. Mm-hmm. Because I will not,
especially this morning.
I will not make presumptions about what someone believes based on what they say. Even if someone says something, I will not just take it at face value and just be like, well, obviously that's all 100% true because, words can still be tainted. Words can be mistakes and things like that. I want to leave that wiggle room for the real truth. And the truth can only be, really thrown out there by the person whose truth it is. That's my belief.
Well, we had a conversation in the car earlier about actual irrefutable proof not being enough anymore for certain people. It's like hard evidence is what proves a point. It's what makes something truthful because of the fact that if it can't be refuted, if it can't be disputed, then, then what do you have?
We were talking about the JFK files, right?
Right.
Yeah. And it's like that, even if it turns out the documentation proves
that the CIA was involved,
that the CIA might have been involved in everything, there are going to be plenty of people who are going to say, "Oh, those were probably just doctored."
Remember the conversation with my cousin last night? She was telling us that one of her students,
about Elvis,
one of her 14-year-old students was just like,
Stitch wrote Hound Dog.
Exactly. And that Elvis was a character or something.
Elvis was a fictional character.
And looking it up online wasn't enough to prove it to this teenager.
That was funny.
Oh my God. And then I was like, I gotta watch Lilo and Stitch now.
But for the majority of this evening, this particular evening, you and I have been sort of forced into a very uncomfortable conversation with someone who I certainly have considered a friend for many years, who really sort of broke my heart tonight.
Listen, let me just get it off my chest, okay? I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to get into specifics or anything, because he's probably going to be listening now.
The specifics are not important.
Okay? I used to consider this person a friend, okay? If you're listening, I used to consider you a friend, okay? I used to believe all that bullshit until I got tired of being treated the way that I was and started calling your bluff on a lot of things, particularly the conversation that we had earlier, when you threatened to call the police on me for something that you misconstrued.
I have spent the last several years, the years that I have been in it with you, my love, coming to this person's defense whenever you have had heated arguments and things like that. And I have said, well, consider his perspective. I understand his perspective. And, you know, it's possible that maybe there is too much emotion between the two of you, or that, you know, you're just kind of pushing each other's buttons and it's not really, you know, it's not being as nasty as it seems to be. But after today, it's hard for me to put into perspective the fact that I spent several nights playing that devil's advocate, because essentially a friend of mine basically told me to censor this podcast.
And we're not willing to do that.
I don't do censorship.
Nope.
I have been in an uphill battle with social media at large for years at this point with respect to censorship.
But this person has preached free speech before.
Yes. But not when it involves this person, apparently.
Nope.
Now, again, we're not getting into specifics because the specifics don't matter to me. And I simply want, if he's listening right now, I want him to know that my feelings are fucking hurt. You come at me talking about how, you know, you agree with my perspective on censorship, but
he lost the ability to hurt my feelings a long time ago, because this person has gaslit me, has goaded me into debates, has pretended to be a friend when he's really not. Like, we had a business relationship together. Outside of that said business, he never called, never texted, never made plans with us, with our kids, with nothing. Absolutely nothing. Does not sound like a friend to me whatsoever.
I am really hurt because you know, now I'm not here to say anything directly to anybody, but I don't believe it's best practice to imply that if you know, this was a quid pro quo that happened today. If you stop talking about me,
if you don't stop talking about me,
yeah. If you don't stop talking about me, I will start talking about you. What? I'm sorry. What?
See,
what will you say?
This person said that our information was not all there, that we were telling, quote, half-truths. And what he's referring to is something that I have in black and white that is irrefutable, directly from him. So you can make all the threats that you want. You can try and scare us into submission all you want. But at the end of the day, if you want to take to social to tell your story, I will show everyone the story that you told. And if it differs from whatever comes out from here on in, people are going to see that you're making shit up. Because like I told him, I don't have to lie, and I don't have to make shit up, and I don't have to you know, alter the truth to serve my agenda. I don't have an agenda.
I am not here to make threats or counter threats. I am not here to point fingers, put anyone on blast. I'm here to say that I am simply here to say that anyone who would have the audacity to preach free speech, to preach no hate, to preach openness and freedom from censorship, anyone who is willing to do those things and yet make the essentially the threats that were made to me this afternoon is a hypocrite. 100%.
He's acting like a bully.
I do not abide by it.
And I've dealt with bullies.
I will not abide.
You've dealt with bullies.
The dude will not abide.
I'm sure that plenty of the people listening to this have dealt with bullies. And you know what? There comes a time where you have to stand up for yourself.
I'm sure as shit not going to be bullied into being censored. Of all the fucking things, you have no idea. My discomfort, for any ranging from discomfort to outright rage right now, my tits are going to be all over social media here in a little while as a stamp of fuck you, censorship is nothing to me. I am so upset.
I'm upset because you're
so
upset.
Because I am especially uncomfortable with someone who purports to be an artist saying you shouldn't say those things. I'm sorry? What? You're going to tell me that anyone, let's say hypothetically, a songwriter, is going to tell me what I shouldn't say on my podcast? Where do I get in line to say what this person shouldn't write a song about? Oh, that's right. I don't have that audacity.
No, you don't.
I don't have that audacity. I've got the balls to say, I'm sorry, what? It's extremely offensive to me. It's offensive to me as an artist that such an artist would go along with something like that.
Listen, this was a long time coming because this week I made endeavors to benefit the both of us. I wasn't representing or claiming to represent anybody or anything specifically. I was trying to get information. Okay? And this person reacted in a very, very emotional, very aggressive and assuming way, which didn't sit well with me. So I terminated our business relationship, or at least my part in it. And since then, an immense weight has been lifted from my shoulders because I don't have to subject myself to the bullying anymore.
And yet, 2 days later...
No, this will pass. This will go away.
I hope so.
This aggression will not stand, man.
Like everyone wants to just move on. Everyone wants to just put it behind them.
Yeah, but despite saying that, they still want to have the last word. They still want to have their cake and eat it. They still want to feel like they came out on top. And you know what? I grew accustomed to letting people have the last word in the last few years because I don't give a shit anymore. Go ahead. Say whatever you're going to say. Drag my name through the mud if you want to. Go right ahead. Anybody that you would badmouth me to is not all that important to me.
Before we started recording this, I was really adamant about
not being emotional,
but I find it hard to refrain. I find it hard to refrain because
this is fresh.
It's fresh and it's very offensive.
And this is precisely why I wanted to record now, because it's fresh. Because anybody who listens to this needs to know that you can't be a doormat. You can't let people lord over you.
This is just the thing, though. You're talking about being a doormat, and I'm talking about being bullied.
But that's just it. Bullies don't stop. Look at what happened with the neighbors next door. They didn't quit. They didn't quit until we took them to court.
Apparently, they still have... Apparently, they still haven't quit because you told me that they were outside talking shit about us.
Let them talk shit. But the next time that they park in front of our door, they're getting towed.
This is just it. Let them talk shit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I'm not here... Like, what kind of threat is it to make to someone about, well, I'm going to tell stuff about you? It's like... Okay, what are you going to tell?
I have been threatened similar.
I'm sorry.
By far worse.
What truth could you possibly come up with that would be so heinous that I don't want anyone knowing it?
And far worse have failed.
Like, you want to...
Babe, listen, at the end of the day, we know who we are. We know our worth. We know that we're telling the truth. We know that we're being genuine. This person and people like this person want to see us cave in. They want to see if they can compromise our solidarity.
I think they want to have some sort of control.
That too.
You don't get to have control, and I say the royal you. You don't get to have control over what people think about you or say about you, period. Mm-hmm. Like, you just don't. The only control that you have over other people is whether or not you allow them to touch you. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's literally it. You don't get to say, now you can say, I would rather you didn't talk about me. You can say, I find it offensive that you talk about me. You can say, stop doing that. Stop talking about me.
You could actually go the better route and be like, would you please not do these things? You could be courteous. Manners are free, you know.
Manners are free. I heard that. They give them out on the corner.
You know, you could be a friend and you could have a genuine conversation and you could air your grievances and you could, amicably squash this shit. But some people can't go that route. They have to always be fighting. They have to always be engaged in some sort of combat.
I haven't figured out, just based on the conversations that have been had today, I haven't figured out what the crux of the problem is, because it seemed to be that there's misinformation flying around, half-truths and other possible fibbery, right? And then it was something about reputations being spoiled, which I've never heard a word about anyone's reputation. I was unaware that they have a reputation. Now I'm curious to know what the reputation was before apparently I helped ruin it. Ooh. And my question then becomes is how frail is that reputation that this podcast, regardless of being downloaded on 4 continents at this point, okay? 4 continents. That Talking Podcast is global, baby.
Thank you so much for those of you in Japan and Brazil.
And France.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. But my question is still, how frail and fragile is that reputation that this podcast, okay, will somehow sully that reputation? Sounds to me like that reputation was hanging on by a thread. And that this was the last straw.
You know the old
for the sake of that reputation.
You know the old saying about misery loving company, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Too bad misery doesn't live here.
It's a good thing misery doesn't live here.
Right? I'm having a hard time because, we've talked so much about hypocrisy. Mm-hmm. We've talked ad nauseum about hypocrisy because it is fucking rampant.
Do you think I'm a narcissist?
No.
Do you think that I think you're a narcissist?
God, I hope not.
No.
I have such low self-esteem. I find it hard to imagine that anyone could believe I'm a narcissist.
I think people nowadays tend to conflate narcissism with pride.
I think so. I think that you know, the
like
a toxic a degree of toxicity is placed on anyone's strengths, I think. You know, it goes from, you know, taking pride in your work to having hubris, kind of a thing.
Like
because people are uncomfortable with your strengths.
You and I talked to no end about, you know, the amount of work that we put in at our jobs and how it's usually gone unrecognized, and how people get pats on the back for doing the same jobs.
Fucking participation trophy.
Exactly. It's just like,
I have every year, at the end of every calendar year, it's the responsibility of everyone that I work with to do a self-review of themselves in going into the following year to determine like raises and things like that. It's a self-review. You grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 based on the category and the question at hand, and then you cite examples backing up the score that you're giving yourself, right? A 3 out of 5 means you do your job adequately. And anything above that is then questioned. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not here to be humble. I do enough of that. But this is with regards to, you're asking me directly, how do I think I'm doing at my job? I think I'm doing fucking stellar. And here are my reasons for believing that. Only to be knocked down a peg or two. Because if people agree with me that I do a stellar job, I don't get the raise.
By the way, remember the episode we did about the kid who had the Chinese fire drill?
Yeah.
He's getting fired.
Yeah, like you should. I'm sorry. If you bail out of a moving vehicle,
now,
I'm pretty sure you get fired.
Perfect example. That was one in a long list of things that this kid should have been fired for a long time ago. He got away with murder for 2 years. And finally, justice was served.
But this is the same kid who looked you dead in the face and said, well, you do things too. I have proof of it.
Yeah? Where's your proof?
And then came back and said, I was fibbing.
Which is exactly what happened tonight. This person tonight said, I'm going to share my side of the story.
Go ahead.
Go right ahead. Because if it differs from the actual black and white conversation that I have, people are going to know that you're lying.
I'm glad that we decided to go ahead and do this sort of reprise. And the reason for it is because this is a wrap.
Listen, and I can speak from experience, okay? Because I have been told by my parents, my brothers, teachers, administrators, everything, my entire life, how to deal with this sort of stuff, because I was not properly equipped in childhood to deal with this kind of thing, to deal with teasing, to deal with, you know, bullying. I spent a lot of times just, you know, frustrated and angry and sometimes crying because I'm just like, why can't people just leave me alone? Why can't people just let me be me and not criticize me for what I am and what I like? Yeah. It's just like, what drives them to go out of their way to say and do these things to hurt somebody? What do they gain from it? They gain power. They gain leverage.
Yes. And
after years and years of dealing with this shit, I finally realized that eventually it does all go away, because I can predict how this is going to go. We're going to be angry for a little while. We're going to talk about him a little bit more in our personal conversations outside of the podcast, and it's going to be on our minds for a while. But you know what? Eventually, hopefully sooner than later, this person is going to fade from our radar because we just won't care enough anymore. He's not worth it.
It's not even that. It's it's sort of like the stages of grief, at least for me. Like right now I'm in anger, which maybe this was a poor choice to do the podcast while I'm still in the anger phase. But here I am. You know, I wanted very badly to ignore it all. I really did. I didn't want to get pulled in. I didn't want to, you know, I was comfortable being a sounding board for you and not getting involved and just, you know, and just letting it happen because eventually it won't be a talking point anymore. But then I was forced into it, not by you, and I couldn't deny, you know, this sort of changing of the guard, if you will. And now I'm in anger, and eventually I'm going to work my way to acceptance where I am just going to, this person is just going to be there. Like they were, you know, from 2015 until 2021. They're just going to exist. I can't imagine that they're going to reach out to me for anything. I can't imagine that they're ever going to ask how I am, how my health is, despite my showing buckets of concern for them over the past few weeks. I can't imagine that they're ever going to ask that, you know, if things are going well, or that they're going to wish me well in what I'm doing.
Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Because what I'm doing right now is apparently so offensive, making generic statements about hypothetical people.
You know, I also have experience with the people who would tell you to ignore these things. Ignore them and they'll go away. You know, just let it go. And in my experience, sometimes even if you do ignore these things, sometimes they don't go away. They persist until you're broken and you are forced to react because you can't take it anymore. I've lashed out plenty of times in the course of my life.
I've been in talk therapy for almost 6 years now, and trust me, like, this was necessary.
But I don't do it anymore because through experience, I've learned that some things just aren't worth getting rattled over. Mm-hmm. And this will not faze me because I'm now in it's like breaking up with a bad person, with a person you knew was toxic and bad for you, and getting them out of your life. That's what I did. And you know what? Recently, I'm scrolling through Reels, and, you know, I'm a huge Motorhead fan, so Lemmy's popping up left and right and whatever. But he said something, like, he's always got these great one-liners when he was alive, at least. And he said something to the effect of, it's the dumbest thing in the world for you to ignore a problem and expect it to go away. He goes, they ignored Hitler for years until he rose up and took over Germany.
Do you feel any better?
Yeah.
I don't know that I feel better.
No, I do.
Yet.
I really do.
Well, I'm glad you do. I don't know that I feel better yet because I think that, you know, I still, my feelings are still hurt. And I wonder if that means anything. I wonder if that would even matter for people to know that, you know, when you do something like this and you say things like this to someone, that you just presume that they're just going to be, you know, an asshole about it and everything. No, my feelings are hurt. That's why I'm upset.
Why don't we have him on the podcast? Let's have him on, have him tell his side of the story, and we'll fact check it in real time.
This is going to be a wrap because this is me signing off on not wanting to talk about this anymore, honestly.
You got it.
I want to move on. They want to move on. So we're going to fucking move on. And we're all going to be better for it, God willing.
Cuz we're adults
and we can do whatever we want. I think this was a good talk. I'm pretty sure it was.
It was a necessary talk.
Yeah, I think so.
Because again, listen, you have to bear in mind that there are people out there who are going through far worse situations and scenarios than what we're describing right now.
Yeah.
There are people with real problems.
It's the idea of letting go of being petty, I think, that is really the moral.
We've actually
of the
said that
story.
before. Yeah. We brought that up. But again, I say that there's people out there with much, much more concerning issues than, I mean, even if we had been specific tonight, there are real significant issues out there that aren't being addressed, that aren't being taken care of because people are afraid. People are worried about confrontation. They don't know how to handle these things. And you know what? I think everyone could benefit from being able to do what you and I are doing, to have open, honest discussions without fear of repercussion.
I want to believe that there are people out there who can have conversations without taking notes on it. You know what I mean? It's like sitting in court taking notes of what you have to come back to be like, yeah, but you said this. And it's like, why? Why does that have to happen, you know, between friends?
It had to happen in this case because I knew this person would manipulate the story to serve his purpose.
Well, if that is the case, I find it very unfortunate, and I find it sad and pitiful. I find that to be, you know, just very petty and childish, and I will not abide it. I will not abide by it.
We are on to bigger and better things.
Yes. And with that, I'm gonna call it a full lid. Thank you for listening to that Talking Podcast. It wasn't a blast, but it had to happen.
If you haven't listened to last week's episode, go back and listen to it.
Go back. It's much more lighthearted.
Or listen to it again.
Much more lighthearted.
We got to hang out with Giovanni.
Yeah, so that's a good one. Do that. And
well, we're gonna have to go and finish that episode now.
Be kind to each other. Be nice.
Remember the rules.
2025, we're going to start coming out with some merchandise.
We're
I swear to God, if you mention back scratchers, I'm going to fling this fly swatter right at you.
As I'm holding one. You told me to clip the microphone to my back scratcher.
Anyway. Social. Instagram, DT Andy and JJ Star with 2 R's. TikTok, downtown_Andy, and it's JJ Star. Go to our website, thattalkingpodcast.buzzsprout.com, and send us a text message. You can send us conversation starters, questions, comments, concerns for our well-being. We appreciate it.
We sure do.
Yeah. And
I appreciate, you know what we haven't been doing a lot lately is the thank yous, like you thanking me for the theme song.
Thank you for the theme song.
And thank you for putting up with all of my nonsense and shenanigans. And
well, I knew what I was getting myself into.
At least somebody did.
Yeah. And yeah, thank you again out there in podcast land. We appreciate your listening. Please pass it on. We're again four continents. I think 9 countries at this point. We're still working on Australia and Africa. So tell all your friends.
Oh, we should have told Giovanni to tell to his Australian visitors about the podcast.
Oh man,
I can't believe people came all the way from Australia.
That's the power of social media, baby.
To White Plains for a sandwich.
That's the power of social media,
No,
baby.
that's the power of good Italian food.
It could be that too.
Remember, every day is Sunday.
Every day is Sunday. Oh, man. So, again, from the bottom of our guts, thank you. And from the 3 of us at That Talking Podcast, I'm JJ Star.
And I'm Downtown Andy.
And we'll talk to you later.